Hi everyone, Dr. Colette Sinclair here with the Love Prescription. And on this podcast, I discuss all things related to love, sex, and relationships. I am here to answer your questions as they relate to modern day connections. Okay, so I have no partner today. However, I have a question from an audience member, and the only thing I'm going to share with you about this audience member is that it's a female, she's heterosexual, and she's 22. So let me read the question. What is the line between being too easy and being labeled a prude? If a woman has sex on the first night, she's often judged as having low standards. If she waits, she's seen as a tease or difficult. There's no winning, but yet the pressure remains constant. Men now expect sex before a real date even happens, while still holding often unspoken rules about respect and value. Right on, girl. This is true. As a woman, this leaves an issue where I'm constantly navigating expectations that are impossible to satisfy, forcing me to question whether my choices are about genuine desire or about avoiding judgment. Let's get into this. There are many, many, many themes to explore. I think you hit the nail on the head because we are talking about deeply embedded sexual double standards that still exist today. So it's a systemic problem. We have contradictory standards for men and women. We expect and promote sexual agency, but that is not what we do as a culture. We judge. And we perpetuate this Madonna-whore complex where a woman is either highly valued and showing up as the good girl with perfect behavior, and she's worthy of marriage and she's worthy of being a mother, or she is to be used and she is for pleasure only and fun. So how are we as women and men as well, how are we contributing to this culture and this contradictory standard? Men, is this what you want for your sisters, for, I don't know, your aunts, your mothers? Like, is this what you guys want to contribute to? I think we can all show up with greater self-respect and agency of all sorts. So let's talk a little bit about this sexual double standard and slut shaming culture. So we have these sexual scripts that are simultaneously demanded and punished. So if we have sex, we're punished and we're called easy. And if we don't have sex, we are a prude and people don't want to go out with us. So what sociologists call this is the Madonna-whore dichotomy. And women are expected to be sexually available, but not sexually autonomous. Does that sound reasonable to you? So oftentimes what happens is there's such a disconnect for women from their authentic self. They have to suppress their own standards. They have to walk this societal line, if you will, and make constant judgments about themselves and their own behavior, and how and when and how often to engage in pleasure, in sexual connection. So there's this constant external evaluation that's going on, and that leads to just this surveillance all the time, which is not fun. So what I want to suggest to you on this particular issue is that when women decide to buy into this whole slut versus prude dichotomy, we're really perpetuating this validation from males that we're doing this to one another. As a culture, as a society, when we allow ourselves to be put into one of the two opposites, rather than honoring the fact that sex is for connection and pleasure, we are, as I said, feeding this dichotomy and this idea that we need to be validated through males. There's this whole dating and hookup culture that has created a new culture called situationships. And people are not happy about situationships. Some people are. Usually the males are happy about situationships because they're getting some very significant needs met. However, females tend to end up emotionally strung out, and we just have to be honest about that. Males and females are wired very differently. We have different needs biologically. We take different risks biologically. By the way, in situationships, females are taking all of the reputational risks and all of the biological risks. The bottom line is that sex results in chemical bonding. Females are a lot more influenced through that chemical bonding than the males. So when women don't have emotional intimacy or secure commitment, they just end up a total anxious mess. And guess what, guys? That eventually becomes your problem. And then, guess what? Since we don't have commitment on the table, situationship ends because the male starts engaging in a new situationship with a female who is, again, willing to take those risks, deprioritize herself, her own needs, her own value. And there's an endless stream, there's an endless supply of people that are willing to engage in this behavior because dating apps are plentiful. So the real issue is that relationships and sexual connection can be so fulfilling and such an important part of human needs, relational needs, and what we're doing is we're really just cutting out such a large part of the relationship and saying, I only value and I only want this very limited part of the person. And really what it amounts to is I only want my own gratification. So selfish love is not love. It's just selfishness. And females and males, because there's plenty of males that are engaging in this as well. There's same-sex relationships, there's opposite-sex relationships, but the bottom line is you need to determine for yourself what you deserve and what you value. And you need to take responsibility for communicating that and holding to your own standards. Because the truth of the matter is that situationships and casual hookups are extremely damaging to people. I see it all of the time. So you need to take the time to get the clarity that you need in terms of what do I genuinely want in my life and out of relationship and even in sexual connection. Maybe the fact is that casual sex works for you at this time in your life for whatever reason. And that's fine, but be upfront about it. Do not lead someone down a path that is ill-intentioned, and be honest with yourself as well. The next thing that you want to look at is, are you treating one another with respect? Are you showing up with respect? Are you showing up intentionally? Is the pleasure reciprocated? Is there judgment? Is there trust? Is there honest communication? And that is one way to evaluate how to move forward in this relationship or situationship or hookup. Lastly, Authenticity. Are you performing? Are you being what you think they want or need you to be? Or are you actually showing up who you are? Be shameless about who you are. Let them deal with if they can't handle you or they don't like your standards. That's not your problem. It's theirs. You can always swipe left.